Protest, chaos, and a bull market run for the ages. This is the Civil Reports Weekly Review, where we take a look at the headlines that move the markets during the week and all things investment related. On Monday, in spite of protests, curfews, phased state reopenings, and growing tensions between the US and China, the markets closed up. The Dow closed up 91 points, the S&P 500 closed up 11 points, and the Nasdaq closed up 62 points. Another example of how disconnected the markets are from what's going on outside of Wall Street. Target closed or adjusted store hours in its Minnesota locations after looting took place in the company store. Facebook had a mixed day on Monday. The stock was up 3% during trading off of CEO Mark Zuckerberg's stance against fact-checking or blocking posts. Facebook essentially escaped the Cambridge Analytica scandal a few years ago with a slap on the wrist, and it appears Zuckerberg is trying to keep Facebook on the good side of DC lawmakers. But not everyone at Facebook was on board with Zuckerberg's stance. Dozens of employees staged a virtual walkout in response to Zuckerberg's lack of action on inflammatory posts made by President Trump. Other than that, there was very little market news on Monday. On Tuesday, markets closed up big on heavy buying in the last half hour of the trading session. The Dow closed up 267 points, the S&P 500 closed up 25 points, and the Nasdaq closed up 56 points. The energy sector helped push the markets up on Tuesday, with investors anticipating a cut in oil production by major producers and the demand for oil to pick up as countries gradually reopen cities. Crude oil traded to over $37 per barrel, a 3-month high for black gold. Lyft shares saw a rise in after-hours trading after the company reported an increase in ride activity since COVID-19 restrictions have eased. Tiffany's shares halted trading on news that the acquisition by LVMH could fall through due to Tiffany's deteriorating situation caused by the pandemic. Zoom reported an EPS beat by 10 cents and a revenue beat by $124 million. Revenue grew 169% year over year. Net income was $58.3 million versus $8.9 million a year ago. Zoom set revenue guidance for Q2 at $495 million to $500 million, well above analyst estimates of $224 million. On Wednesday, markets continued to roll. The Dow closed up 527 points, the S&P 500 closed up 42 points, and the Nasdaq closed up 74 points. ADP's payroll report provided data that U.S. employers cut nearly 2.8 million private payrolls in May, a lot less than the 9 million that economists expected. The news helped to give the markets a boost on Wednesday. In other news that moved the markets, the U.S. government said it would block Chinese airlines from flying into the U.S. in response to the Chinese government preventing U.S. carriers from flying into China. The restriction could take effect on June 16th. Snapchat announced it would stop promoting President Trump on its Discover page. The president will still have his Snap account, but his content will no longer be promoted by the company. Warner Music Group's stock debuted on Wednesday. The home of Bruno Mars, Cardi B, Ed Sheeran, and Lizzo closed up 20% on the day. Campbell Soup reported an EPS beat by 6 cents, but missed on revenue by $20 million. Revenue was up 15% year over year, and the meals and beverages segment grew by 21% on strong demand for at-home foods. On Thursday, the markets closed mixed. The Dow closed up 11 points, the S&P 500 closed down 10 points, and the Nasdaq closed down 67 points. The unemployment number, coupled with the ADP data from the day before, left investors a lot less bullish than they were earlier in the week. Last week, over 1.8 million Americans filed for unemployment benefits. eBay stock had a big day after it raised its Q2 revenue guidance from $2.3 to $2.4 billion, all the way up to $2.7 to $2.8 billion, and it expects earnings per share between $1.02 to $1.06 per share. American Airline stock also had a big day after the company stated it expects to fly about 55% of the capacity in July 2020 that it flew in July 2019, up big from where it was 2 months ago. Slack reported earnings and reported an EPS beat by 4 cents and a revenue beat by $13.5 million. Revenue grew 49% year over year, and paid customers rose 28% to over 122,000. Broadcom's EPS came in at $5.14, in line with analyst estimates. The company beat revenue estimates by $50 million. Revenue from semiconductor solutions was down 2%, but revenue from infrastructure software was up 21%. And Gap reported an EPS miss by $2.17 and missed revenue estimates by $240 million. Revenue declined 41% year over year for the Gap. On Friday, stocks surged on new employment data for May. The Dow closed up 829 points, the S&P closed up 81 points, and the Nasdaq closed up 198 points. Economists expected unemployment to reach 19.5%, but the unemployment rate only hit 13.3%, which is bad, but not as bad as the economists expected. Boeing stock closed up 11% on Friday. There's been a combination of events that have driven the stock, from the good news surrounding the airlines to Boeing restarting production on the 737 MAX, as well as the company's layoffs, and the boost the aerospace division is expected to receive following the recent SpaceX launch. AstraZeneca reported it started manufacturing the University of Oxford's potential COVID-19 vaccine ahead of trial results. The company has already agreed to provide the US and the UK with doses of the vaccine. Overall, the markets closed up on the week. The Dow closed up 6.8% on the week, the S&P closed up 4.9% on the week, and the Nasdaq closed up 3.4% on the week. In crypto news, Bloomberg made a bold prediction on Bitcoin's price. Bloomberg believes Bitcoin will reach 20,000 on increasingly favorable technicals and fundamentals. Bitcoin rose 3% on the week and ended our week at $9,716. Ethereum closed out our week at $242.06, up 5% from last week. Litecoin was up 7.5% and closed the week out at $47.32, and Ripple closed the week out at 20 cents, up a penny from last week. Crude oil closed the week out at $38.38 per barrel, up 8.6% from last week. Crude oil is up 186% since April 28th. A big winner for the week was Alcoa Corporation, ticker symbol AA, which increased 31% on the week, just moving with the markets. A big loser for the week was China Online Education Group, COE, which declined by 22.3%. That's a wrap for this week's market review. If you want to dig deeper into the headlines we covered, the links to the stories are in the description below, and a link to sign up to our weekend article in Focus is also in the description below. If you're ready to get serious about investing and creating wealth for yourself, check out our latest quarterly newsletter, The Silver Report, serious investment ideas presented in a way that experienced and novice investors can understand. If you're ready to master the markets, check out our newsletter at civilreport.com. Thanks again for checking out the Silver Report's market review. This channel is dedicated to anyone who wants to start investing but doesn't know how or where to start. If you have any questions, ask in the comments section. Like and subscribe, and may your next investment be your best investment. See you next week.